Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Vital Signs Orientation webinar. My name is Sarah Lyons. I'm sure I know many of you. I am the Program Director at CFC, and my co-presenter today is Dawn Basham, who is a Director at the Community Foundation of the Sunshine Coast. And I'm actually not sure yet if Dawn is on the line. He seems to have logged in to the visual part, but I'm not sure if he's on the audio part. So my colleague Marlo is just looking into that. But I thought probably it made sense to get started. This is my first time using this particular technology for one of these conference webinars. So I'm hoping it's going to go smoothly. And I note that while my audio is activated, yours is not. So if you wish to speak or ask a question, you have two options. First, you can write it on your screen. You'll see a box called chat. You can write it in there. And there's also somewhere, which is apparently on your screen but not on mine, where you can raise your hand. So if you wish to do that, please. There is going to be a nice long period for questions at the end, but if something comes up as we go, please just use one of those two, and we'll probably decide to deal with it right then and there. So hello, thank you so much for joining us today. A tiny bit of background about me. I led the Vital Signs program in 2008 and 2009. And then for the last program year, the last Vital Signs program year in 2010, I was off on maternity leave. But I've been back with the CFC office since the end of the summer, and I will be leading the program for 2011. And it's really my pleasure to have you here. We have a really good turnout today, certainly more foundations on this call than I've ever had for this call in previous years. And that's really exciting. As I mentioned, my co-presenter for today is Dawn. I still don't know if Dawn is on, so I'm just going to proceed, and Dawn will join us when he can, or Marlo will poke her head into my office and let me know. And at very worst, I will just present Dawn's portions of the presentation. This is our agenda for today. We're going to talk about the Vital Signs Initiative. We're going to talk about producing vital signs. We're going to talk about national coordination and support. So what does CFC do, the benefits, and the next steps. We are going to get into what I think a lot of you are wondering about, which is what the resourcing needed for vital signs is, what it takes to produce it, and how you can resource it. And we're going to wrap up with next steps about what you would do next if you're interested in participating for 2011. My plan is to wrap up within an hour and a half, so by 2:30 Eastern. And I'm going to try and go through this material quickly enough so that we have at least 20 minutes at the end for questions. So just to start, some quick history about Vital Signs. Vital Signs started in Toronto in the mid-90s, and in 2001 became a Community Foundations, or sorry, in 2005 became a Community Foundations of Canada initiative. That was mostly in response to other foundations other than Toronto that saw what Toronto was doing and were really interested. And so CFC realized that this was something where we could play a role in disseminating and helping others take it on. We had some initial funding support from the McConnell Family Foundation to do that. And in 2006, the first year where others took it on, we had 5 reports from Victoria, Vancouver, Ottawa, Toronto, and Montreal. In 2007, the joining foundations were St. John, Sudbury, Waterloo Region, Medicine Hat, Red Deer, and Calgary. In 2008, we grew again with London, Oakville, Guelph, and Fredericton joining. And in 2009, we added 4 foundations to that group, and we also saw 2 foundations take a pause from publishing annually, primarily due to budget and data concerns. So that was the first year that we saw foundations start to publish on a non-annual basis. And it's also, you'll notice as I tell you which foundations, that we're seeing smaller and smaller foundations participate. In 2010, we added 3 new participants, and 4 foundations took a pause from publishing full reports, with one foundation, actually Dawn's Foundation, publishing an update, so a kind of shorter, like a 2-pager. So all in all, we have about 25 foundations that are part of the program, which doesn't mean that they have necessarily published a vital signs report in October 2010, but they're still nonetheless part of the program. In 2009, we took a major step forward in terms of making the program accessible for smaller foundations. The BC Vital Signs Initiative, which was funded by Vancouver Foundation's Partnership Fund, brought together 3 foundations to work together and realize efficiencies and savings by developing a common research contract. So all 3 of them pooled together to work with a single researcher on a single contract. And importantly, by developing a single common design template. So this is basically a multi-page document. It's a Word document into which they were able to drop their own content and photos and logos and all that sort of stuff. But each of them didn't have to contract separately for design of their reports. And that's now a resource that we are able to make available to all participating foundations if they wish to use it. Vital Signs goals. So what are the goals of Vital Signs? In all instances, the goals of Vital Signs are to measure the health of a community each year, or roughly each year, across a range of factors that contribute to quality of life and identify significant trends and emerging issues affecting a community, to make important information easily accessible, to engage the community in prioritizing issues and assessing progress in those areas, to encourage community members to find out more and to take action to improve their community and to influence local priority setting and action, to inform the Community Foundation's ongoing work, including its grant making, supporting donors' philanthropic decision making, and enhancing its ties to the community. And last but not least, to build the profile of community foundations in their own communities and nationally through media, speaking engagements, and Community Foundation and CFC hosted events. I'm sure most of you are at least somewhat familiar with Vital Signs, so you'll probably already know that Vital Signs is structured around issue areas, which you'll probably find are a pretty good reflection of the areas where your foundation works in its grant making and its leadership. One of the underpinnings of Vital Signs becoming a national program is that the foundations together organized around a common set of issue areas. So one of the first things they did is agree on these 10. In each year, we ask foundations to publish in at least 5 of these issue areas. Generally, foundations will publish data and sort of lead discussion in all 10. But in the last couple of years, we've seen foundations decide that if it's easier for them in terms of biting off something they can handle, to focus in a given year on 5 or more. And in addition to these, foundations do sometimes pick up other issue areas. So some of the ones that we've seen in the past have to do with transportation, livability, and diversity.